Call to order the regular board meeting for Pleasantdale School District 107 Board of Education at 6 p.m. on August 13, 2025. Can we have a roll call, please? Mr. Bracco?
Here.
Mrs. Lenzen? Here. Mr. Nash?
Here.
Mrs. Walters? Here. Mr. Zona?
Here.
Mr. Mason?
Here.
Mrs. Marchion? Here. All right.
Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have any students yet, so we'll just start the meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. We do have some brag boards. So tonight's brag boards feature photos from our new teacher orientation event. These images showcase the energy, enthusiasm, and excitement of our new staff as they join our Pleasantdale community. At our new teacher orientation, we pair a new staff member with a mentor and provide an overview of the 2-year mentoring program. We review curriculum and educational resources. Each new staff member is given their district technology and login information, and the business office provides an overview of services. A special thank you to Dr. Band for planning and coordinating that wonderful event. So it really is great to get our new teachers in and give them kind of crash course in Pleasantdale and in 2 days. So they did a great job, and we're looking forward to seeing them in our classrooms. And you'll meet them next month. We'll have them here for introductions next month.
Will they come, or will it be their picture?
We're hoping that they'll
Awesome.
come. We invite them.
Awesome.
They usually come.
Perfect.
Great. Okay, next we'll move into open forum. Do we have anyone here that would like to approach the board? Okay, perfect. Item 4, consent agenda. So we'll move into the consent agenda, which consists of the following. 4A, approve regular meeting minutes of the June 18, 2025 meeting. 4B, approve closed session minutes of the June 28, 2025 meeting. 4C, approve payment of the June and July payroll and June, July, August warrants. I was the checker. No questions, comments, or concerns.
Good job.
4D, approve August 2025 personnel report, and 4E, approve transportation contract with first student for 2026 through 2030. So can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Lenson? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters? Yes. Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marchion? Yes. Perfect. Next we'll move into item 5, reports and discussion items. So I'll turn it over to Dick.
Awesome, thanks. So we'll start with our annual discussion around superintendent advisory teams. Each year the district establishes several superintendent advisory teams that help guide the district. Each team can host up to 2 board members, and we have 3 advisory teams. The teams are finance, facilities, and student services. As we have in the past, we just kind of open it up and volunteers and who wants to do what, and kind of take it from there. So is there anybody who has a burning desire to be on either finance, facilities, or student services?
Can we start with finance? Because I feel like that's always like the
Sure. Yeah, we can start anywhere, you guys.
Is that the one that
the
no one
last
wants?
part?
No, I feel like it's like a, no, I just feel like it's an important one to,
Oh.
you know, I feel like we want to make sure we have those people locked in.
Sure. So I think last year it was Becky.
No.
Who was it last year?
Myself.
Charles and
Okay.
Sean. And they did a fantastic job.
Two more here.
So,
Zero
Charles
with
and
this,
Sean.
putting it first. Perfect.
It's very strategic.
Thanks, guys.
John, you can decline if you really don't want it.
We make it fun. Griffin does a great job with the presentation. Facilities, is there anyone who has a
Okay, facility.
facility?
I'll stay on it.
Okay. And then student services?
Yeah.
Jason, what?
I can help with that.
Okay, Jason.
Yeah.
And
Mary.
Mary?
Yeah.
And then, so then, Taryn, you'll act as an alternate. If anyone can't make it, we'll.
I'll make it. Yeah, I guess.
Jason was the alternate last year. I don't think he was called up from the minors to come in. So yeah, great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, moving on right along, we have our Summer Academy update. This year's Summer Academy was a tremendous success. With an outstanding turnout and enthusiastic participation under the leadership of our new Summer Academy Administrator, Maggie Pasenko, the program ran smoothly from start to finish, and she created the course catalog, she ensured that teachers have the resources they need, she worked with kids and families to make sure the scheduling worked, and tonight she's here to share highlights from the summer program. So Maggie, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. Just quick summary update from Summer Academy. Overall, it was quite a success. We had 186 students registered in 34 different classes throughout the 3 sessions, including math and reading. We had quite a few new classes. We had Building Farmers was new. We had the introduction to 3D printing. We had one of our PE teachers from the middle do the Summertime All-Stars. And then we added theater as well. So this is the cost analysis. So we ended with, in 2025, $551.86. So the goal is to come out even, so that was pretty close, pretty successful. In the future, I would like to do this again. I really enjoyed it. I'd like to see more technology classes, coding. I know when I tried to, recruit a lot of teachers, they were kind of nervous. But I think it was such a success that more teachers have already reached out saying that they would like to do different classes. I would also love to incorporate that theater musical type. I know Jennifer Lauerman talked about having kind of an end of summer performance. I know some parents were asking. And then I just think registration could go a little bit smoother. So I have a couple plans for that just to open it up. And then I just have some pictures from summer. I learned a lot. I made friendship bracelets with kids. Being at the middle school, I only see like the older kids. So working with some of the younger kids, they were so excited to be there, so excited to show me what they were making. I loved the creativity lab. I learned a lot about cooking. I had such a blast, and it just was so fun every day seeing that they were so excited and willing to be there. That's it. Any questions?
No, I thought you did a great job.
Thank you.
My daughter loved Summer Academy, never complained about going. It was very smooth, pick up, drop off, everything.
you.
So thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that. Just the kids loved it, and do we think we'll continue to have it at the elementary school?
I think that's the goal. I think it's a better fit for the
I would
age
agree.
level.
Yeah.
I mean, the reasons that we generally had it at the middle school was where
Did
if
the
we had
HVAC,
construction
yeah.
or something like that. There was one year where we were completely ripping up the parking lot as well, so I think
Okay.
there have been 2 summers where we've had it at the middle school,
Okay.
but they were both due to construction. We don't really have, at some point, we're gonna have to redo the roofs there at the
Oh.
elementary school,
Oh,
but
mhm.
that's not gonna happen next summer.
Got it.
So,
Yeah, the
so
kids
it's a
were
ways,
really
still a
familiar.
ways
Yeah.
away as I look at
Elementary.
Griffin
Can I
and our
be-
architect nodding.
So curious too, like the percentages of because it feels to me like it's mainly like the elementary kiddos that go to summer school, and it kind of
Yeah.
veers off in the middle. So it's like the elementary kids love being in their home
Yeah.
school.
They're very
so.
good. They were very comfortable.
Yeah, more comfortability and
Yeah.
know where to
And it's a
go.
good fit. It's just a good fit for that
Totally.
group. Some of the older kids are taking, I think, summer programs through the high school,
Oh,
or you know what I mean,
totally.
or
Right.
kind of big kid camps and stuff like
Right.
that, sports
For
camps.
sure.
So it's a real good fit.
Okay, perfect. Well, it was amazing. So thank you for everything you guys did.
One question, it's a little bit out of my child aid range, but I can't remember if this is still a thing, but I know a lot of people were saying, we used to have like a kind of like a kindergarten one, like for kids coming to,
Yeah,
we
there's
don't
a
have any, or we do?
start to kindergarten.
Mhm.
There's a lot of things called
It-
Kickstart to Kindergarten.
Okay, but there is a summer.
There is a
Yes.
summer,
Okay,
yes. Yeah, so we talked about
Getting ready
renaming
for
it.
kindergarten.
Okay.
So there's a lot of things called Kickstart.
Yeah, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
How did the busing work out then for the students who were going to camp?
Oh, it was very
afterwards?
smooth. So I would text the list of who wasn't on the bus because every day, and then when they were on their way, and then they got there. Yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, because I know that was one of the benefits of having it at the middle school. was
Yeah.
you could just walk across the
Walk.
street, but.
Mhm.
Yeah, the summer Park District would bus kids in the morning, so we'd meet them there. Kids that went super early, and then after we had a list and we crossed them off and went really well.
Awesome.
Thank you
Thank
very much
you.
for everything.
Nice job, Maggie. All right, moving right along. So talking a little bit about our summer construction projects. So this summer, our focus was on enhancing safety, improving efficiency, and beautifying our schools. We took a break from some of those large-scale projects that we've had over the last couple of years. We had the HVAC at the elementary school, you remember, and the roof project over at the middle school. And so this year, while we still made great progress, still had some great projects, they weren't those large-scale projects that we've had in the past. So in the area of safety, we completed the final phase of installing our shatter-resistant film on all first-floor windows. This acts as a barrier from would-be wrongdoers, slowing them down in the event of an incident, giving first responders more time to intervene. To speed up the response from first responders, we're also reviewing and updating the exterior door numbers. They're kind of small, hard to see. We want to make sure the sequence is the way that the first responders want them. We actually have our first responder meeting next week, so we want to talk about that with them there. And that gives our first responders a better idea of where to go in the event of an emergency. We worked on beautifying the buildings this summer and began phase 1 of our gym refresh at both schools. This included new wall mats, painting the gym and APR at the elementary school, and doing the same thing in the south gym at the middle school. Additionally, we completed phase 1 of our bathroom renovations, which started with renovations of staff bathrooms. Finally, interior hallways and common areas were also refreshed with new paint, and the elementary school received new exterior signage and graphics. If you get a chance, drive past the elementary school, the outside it's awesome. It really looks great. They've done a really nice job there. We also improved efficiency at the middle school by installing solar panels to reduce costs and our environmental footprint. We seal coated and restriped the middle school parking lot to protect our investment and improve appearance. Our technology department also had a busy summer. They worked tirelessly to complete 73 projects in preparation for a new school year, from deploying hundreds of new devices and reconfiguring systems to upgrading classrooms and supporting Summer Academy. Their efforts have ensured that the staff and students will start the year with a smooth, modern, and reliable technology program. Really got to thank our tech team under the leadership of Jim Kite. They did a really, really nice job making sure we're ready for the year and fixing some things that needed to be fixed. And then finally, we completed all of our annual safety inspections, including sprinkler systems and bleachers and fire extinguishers, alarms, backflow preventers in all of our buildings. It's been a busy summer, and we're just looking forward. The buildings look great. We're looking forward to welcoming the students back next week. Any questions on any of those projects? It's a lot. It's busy. We got a lot done in a short, really jammed a lot in there.
Just to clarify.
Go ahead, no.
So the solar project is complete?
It's complete. We're still working on the final hookup through ComEd, but yeah, the installation is done.
Okay.
Now it's just a matter of doing some testing, making sure that everything is working properly, and then connecting everything through ComEd.
Perfect. That's great. I just was curious if they completed on time and
Yeah,
how that went,
yeah.
so we're good. Okay.
On time,
Awesome.
on budget, all of that
Perfect.
stuff.
Thank you.
Doesn't cost us anything, so
Right.
the budget is
Even
zero.
better.
So we were
Great.
in the realm. Awesome. Okay. All right, so moving on to the tentative budget. In compliance with state law, the administration presents the tentative budget to the Board of Education each August. This tentative budget reflects our district's priorities as we seek to make responsible financial decisions. Tonight, Assistant Superintendent for Operations and Finance, Griffin Sontag, will present our tentative budget. Griffin, take it away.
All right. Welcome. Thank you again for having me do this short presentation on the tentative budget. We'll start with just the calendar right off the bat. Tonight we're reviewing the tentative budget. There's already a copy of it upstairs, posted. The legal notice is scheduled to go in the paper tomorrow. And so that will suffice, and then it needs to sit for at least 30 days, which is why we have then our public hearing scheduled for September 17th. So more than 30 days in between for people to come in and review it, for people to be well informed about the budget hearing and to show up and to share their questions and concerns or their joys about the budget at your next meeting. All right, we'll do a quick summary of where we landed at the end of last year. These are all, as they are every year at this time, unaudited numbers. Our audit first step is the end of the month, and then final audit will be in October with our new auditing firm. So I think the biggest thing to look at with these really are just going down these realized percentages. You want to be at as close to 100% as possible. That would be the budget. I mean, remember the budget's that best approximation at that time of where we're heading and what we're doing. There's a couple of tweaks. You'll see many of the numbers are really close to 100. There's a few that aren't, and I'll tell you why. IMRF, we have a pretty large fund balance in IMRF, and I'll show that at a later slide. So I intended last year to take in very little revenue, and so I presented the budget, we did this, and then when we made more money in interest than I was expecting, but the bigger move was there's a statute that our auditor reminded me of within the CPPRT money, that a certain percentage has to go to IMRF. So even though our fund balance is very healthy there, I get to allocate it to the funds, but there has to be some that goes there. So I had to allocate some there. So I'm working with the auditor already this year as we levy and as we continue with this year's budget. You'll see a smaller number as well to work to spend that down over the next 3 or 4 years. So again, starting my 4th year, still learning and still excited about learning. The other one that's kind of larger is I switched the money from fire life safety back to IMRF. So I was planning to put more money in life safety, as we still have a few more life safety projects we need to complete next summer. So we have money in there, so I'll show you that fund balance, but I just moved it back, so that's why that number is so low. And then if you look at the expenditures, you can see most of them are very much in line. Life safety, we didn't do our large, we need to do a fire alarm system upgrade. So we will do that. The fire alarm's working, it's just fine, but it's time to do an upgrade. So we'll do that over the course of this year. So we didn't do that, so that's why this number is so much lower. We just didn't spend the money out of life safety. And then the other one that's a little bit bigger is transportation. We had that conversation about how the billing was an issue. I'm still not sure how that's going to end up. I think in talking with the auditor that they're going to actually write some of that over to the previous year. And so the audited version, those numbers will come down and be a little more in line. But I know when I presented this, it was one of those things like, I'm not sure exactly how this is gonna go. And so we ended up paying all those bills. And so it ended up being more than the budget. We have plenty of fund balance there. We're spending that fund balance down as well. So no problem. I mean, total overall revenue, just over 100%. Total expenses, just under 100%, which is really everything you're looking for. I mean, I don't expect to have a budget like that in the future. I mean, I hope so. I'm trying to, but that's pretty good in the end. So we'll present this year's budget and then go from there. Quickly, and I know all of you have been here for this, so I'm going to go relatively quickly. Here's your revenue sources: property taxes, local, state, federal, and then these are the descriptions of what those monies are. We're still getting estimates in. When was it? Yesterday? Yesterday, the day before. Texts were flying. CPPRT was released, and it's flat for this year. The email said up 2%, but it's very flat, which is fine. I mean, I budgeted actually a little bit less this year because people were saying it was going to be less. And then EBF funding, our evidence-based, we continue to be in the tier that receives the least amount of state funding. And that funding for us this year is the same as it was last year. So it didn't go up, it didn't go down, and that gets us about $530-some thousand a year from the state. But as you know, most of our money comes in from local property taxes. So federal, remember ARP and ESSER, all those are gone now. Title grants, there was some concern, but we're starting to get some release from the federal government and seeing some numbers that are decreased, but still grants are being offered, so that's good. There was a conversation a couple months ago where we might be getting 0 in terms of federal grants, so people were making adjustments and kind of freaking out about that. We don't get a huge amount of money, but every dollar helps and every dollar offsets what we're doing. and then transfers. So as we
Okay,
look,
What
oh,
was
I'm
the
sorry.
amount we were getting for ESSER and?
How much?
Yeah.
Eh, roughly, I mean, when I picked it up, there's ESSER 1, 2, and 3. Combined, I would guess it would be around between 300,000 and 400,000. So in the grand scheme of it all, relatively small. I mean, that's a big number, but some of my colleagues and people that I talk with now, they were getting millions of dollars to spend.
Is
So
that like the COVID
COVID.
support money?
that's
Oh,
COVID money, yeah.
Oh, so that's
ESSER,
why it's gone, got it,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, ESSER, and then they renamed the last one ARP, so
Got it.
American, yeah.
As it relates to property taxes, there's some concern that the bills will be delayed possibly till
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Any concern there? Any plans for preparing for that?
Yeah, we've had our Proviso Township Treasurer's Office, who we're contracting with this year, run analysis, and based on our fund balances and the transfer of money that happened from Lyons Township as it was supposed to, and the final transfer will happen at the end of September, we're well positioned. I think I've said this before a couple of years ago when this happened, prior to when some of you were on the board, but this board and previous boards have been fiscally responsible, and we have money saved in reserves for exactly this reason. Because we start payroll on August 29th, and we are going to be paying payroll for our teachers and staff from August 29th all the way until. So that fund balance that you'll see in a couple more slides is going to go down as we're spending money. But then once those taxes come in, then it goes back to kind of where we want. So we are in good shape. A couple years ago when this happened, one of our districts nearby was not, and ended up having to borrow money. Tax anticipation warrants are what they're called, and they're at a pretty high interest rate. So even though they only borrowed it for a month or two, I think they were borrowing it around 6 or 7%. And when you borrow $5 million at 6% for even a month or two, you're paying $50,000 to $100,000 just in fees.
For no reason.
I mean, just in interest. So just because you didn't save enough in reserves. So I think we've got a good amount in reserves, and you'll see with this budget that the board chooses to make a larger expenditure in this coming year. You'll see where we'll end up in reserves as well by the end of the year. And I think that should help guide your conversation as well. Okay. Next, maybe? Okay. So expenditures, same way. We're looking at the largest expenditures by far are the salaries and the benefits for our employees, including our purchase services, because these are oftentimes either people we're purchasing that we don't hire ourselves, services that we need here and there, but we don't need a full-time or even a part-time. And then any of the things we do, like, so we did seal coating, we do painting, we do some of these things, we're gonna purchase those services from experts in those areas. So salaries, benefits, this is about 80% of what the budget is. And many of those things you don't really get to choose, they're already happening. So now you're talking about the 20% that's more where you have a little bit of discretion in how you spend and what you spend on. So we've got some good curriculum work we're working on this year, so we're upping a little bit in our curriculum adoptions and going forward, and refreshes. And then we do have some students for special education that are outplaced, and those costs are increasing each year. So we're keeping an eye on all of that. Capital, again, like Dr. Pelzat said, smaller this year right now, and then we got to look into where we're heading next summer. And we got to continue our projects into phase 2 in a few of the areas, and we've got some other things that we want to do, and we'll work with the facilities committee to prioritize. All right, so revenues for the budget. This gives you just a side-by-side of the last 3 years, and kind of where and what we're planning. So the biggest thing you'll notice here, in my opinion, is allocating more through the levy process to the ed fund. We had a great set of meetings with our association and came to a really positive conclusion with our contract, I think for the district as well as for the staff. And so this first year I wanted to make sure I put plenty of money in the ed fund to make sure all of that's covered. And while we do that, we're able to still make some adjustments to the rest of the funds and cover what we need to cover, spend down in the areas like I mentioned before with the IMRF fund and so forth. Although it's combined here, you don't really see. And then I did put in, for the revenues, in the capital projects, a $3 million number, kind of a placeholder at this point. I don't have resolutions prepared to transfer that money at this moment, but if the board so chose to spend up to $3 million, that's what this budget's built on. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. So the rest of the numbers are very similar to last year, as you see.
We talk about life safety, there looks like a big jump in
Life safety in terms of,
that. Well, you just said they look similar to last year, and that's where I'm just seeing the
life
big
safety is
difference.
going down quite a bit because you'll see the amount that we have in that fund balance is enough to cover what we need
Oh,
to do
okay.
life safety wise. Yeah,
Okay.
we have more than $300,000 in there. So not expecting, not gonna levy for much in life
Oh, I
safety,
see.
because this is the
Okay.
revenues part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You'll
Okay,
see the
good
next
deal.
2 slides, you'll see the expenditure, we're planning to do the fire alarm system.
Got
So there'll be at least 100,000 spent. So then expenditures, here's kind of the same thing. This one looks a little bit messier in the current year because of the
Oh, boy.
transfers to get to those 3 million. So looking at where, I just said I allocated more in the ed fund, and then I'm gonna able to take out. So the net part is not as bad of a hit to the fund balance in that area. O&M, we've been doing 600,000 for a while now, so there's another 600,000. And then working cash is a fund that we've been funding that is kind of that fund where you can't spend anything out of it, but you can move money to different funds when you need to. And so, again, should the board want to make an expenditure like this, we could take $750,000 out of that fund to do that. And so, with that expenditure, yeah, you're seeing a larger expense here for this year. So the summary, looks like this. This is the budget summary that you've had the last few years. And again, just to kind of explain, so revenues are right here going down. These numbers you'd see in that other one. Expenditures going down. And so it looks like, oh my gosh, like almost 3 million, or it ends up being just under 2.5 million. But that's because we're looking at possibly this 3 million spend here. So if we end up not doing something like this, then I'm projecting that we would be surplus. We would be able to bank roughly $500,000. So very healthy, very conservative, but I think we could do that. So the net hit to the fund balance would be something like this if we do the large expenditure. So to start the year unaudited, we're about here, 17.3, and if we do the big expenditure, you're somewhere in just under 15 by the end of the year. So still a good fund balance, and still enough to cover if, say, the taxes are delayed next year as well, and still within the board guidelines of being more than 50% of the annual expenditures, which is board policy 4.20. Questions on this? This is kind of your overarching summary, and then okay. So that's the questions, and then I've got a quote, a new one this year.
Oh,
Just heard it in our book I was listening to, and I thought, I like that one.
that's funny.
That's a good one. It's more for personal finance, the book I was listening to, but I was like,
We'll take
that's,
it.
that's pretty good. I'm gonna use
And
that one.
Dave is from-
Yeah, it's a Dave Ramsey, so if you were wondering. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, facilities update. Over the past several months, we've been exploring solutions to address building space limitations and enhance our academic programs. I've worked closely with our district architect, Mike Henderson, who is with us tonight as we take a closer look at the options available to us. So I'm just gonna come around and kind of step up to the podium, and then Mike and I will kind of talk through this presentation here. All right, so want to take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of the options. Want to start with, it's been about 8 weeks since we've all been together, so we'll start with a little bit of a review, and then we'll jump into one of the two options that we're looking at. So if you remember way back in June, we talked about some of the priorities that we have as a district, right? We want to obviously enhance security and safety in our school. That's always a top priority. Including a second vehicle exit for the elementary school, addressing space issues now and into the future. I mean, as you know, we have some space issues. We are very crowded, especially at the elementary school. And you know, we expect turnover, we expect new buildings to start popping up, new homes to start popping up, and we need to be prepared for that. A goal of expanding early childhood offerings, and when I say expanding, I mean more full-day options for families and more half-day AM slots, because that's really, when people want AM or want half-day, they generally want AM because they want the littles to nap in the afternoon, so that PM time is really rough for families. And what we're finding as we're talking to our preschool families, we actually have people signing up for our preschool and then pulling out of the preschool because they've gotten a full day slot somewhere else. So we're actually seeing our preschool numbers kind of go down because we're not able to offer the programs that people want. Providing a developmentally appropriate experience for our fifth graders. So again, that's allowing our fifth graders to remain at the elementary school for that fifth grade year rather than moving them on to the elementary school. And then looking at what are some program improvements that we could possibly implement at both the elementary and the middle. And so last month we talked about 4 different options. The first option was to kind of minimize current programs. Okay, we'll discontinue preschool and we'll take art and we'll put art on a cart or music on a cart, and we'll use those classrooms for regular classroom instruction. We also looked at mobiles, putting mobiles out in the back or on the property of the elementary school. Neither of those two are very popular. So the board kind of crossed those two off the list. The last two were expanding our current footprint, so building on our 2 buildings, and then also the possibility of a third building on another location somewhere within the district. So tonight we want to spend a little bit of time talking about expanding our current footprint, and then we'll save the additional building on property somewhere else in the district for another time, possibly next month or the following. So want to talk a little bit, again, this is review from last time, but I've asked Mike to be here this time. So this is Mike Henderson, our district architect. He's been our architect for 20-some years and knows where every wire is. 31. Knows where every pipe goes, every wire is laid. He knows all of that stuff. So he is truly an expert in our buildings. And so I've asked him to come and kind of walk through these kind of rough sketches, drawings, if you will. Again, at the elementary school, we're looking at an 8-classroom addition. It's great for classroom space. It doesn't necessarily meet some of our needs in regards to therapy spaces, office spaces. It's pretty much just classrooms and bathrooms. I think there's a little bit of storage there too. But I'll let Mike kind of walk you through this one, and then we'll talk about what the project at the elementary school would look like. Mike will walk you through that, and then we'll talk about some details.
Yeah. So the proposal on this site, it's really very straightforward. At the end of the first grade wing, which is, point over here, it's a little closer. First grade wing is in here, the library is in this area. So you're seeing a roof plan above with the superposed with the floor plan on it. So right out here, this is the playground, the paved area. So we're just connecting 8 classrooms at the very end of the hallway. It's a kind of tight site. The building, the site is literally a square, but the building is diagonal on it, so it creates some odd corners in places. So we're showing the building square, and the site crooked, so north is that way. So this is kind of the grassy area. It's actually where the stormwater detention area is. A little bit of a berm on this side. But in any case, it's a very straightforward, very efficient kind of layout. We're just connecting in with the T layout. It is expandable to some degree out this way, but in fact, stormwater, you can see the kind of property line right across here. So we're staying enough away from the property line to be, to be able to meet codes and zoning and fight fires and things like that. But that's why it's a kind of yin-yang kind of layout, little bisected. But again, straightforward. The yellow are classrooms. These are toilet rooms, mechanical, janitor's closet, a faculty washroom. In there, it's again pretty straightforward, but it is open-ended to some degree on this side. So, any questions?
So it would be one contiguous building then, right? There's no separation, right? It would just function as one contiguous. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So, and this is one story?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
side's
Gonna
one
ask.
story.
Yeah.
This side is the two-story wing.
So
And
you
building-
couldn't build a second story eventually on this blueprint?
If we
If you planned that way, it's a little
Right.
funny on this side of the building because you're not connecting to the second story, so you'd need its own elevator. If it was the second story, it would be very disconnected from the rest of the building. That's kind of the nature of this building on this site. You can see kind of the different color of roofing.
Yeah.
We've kind of maximized this side to add to that in past years where we've added this two-story additions kind of to the end. And we rounded the corner kind of to maximize that corner. Not much opportunity here, but
To the left, you said you could add on an additional, to the left of the new site?
Yeah.
How many additional rooms or like space would we add if we could?
Could it
yeah,
accommodate like that?
another 6 or something like that.
Oh,
Another
But,
6?
but again, the site's maxed out, in a way, because of the stormwater and parking and some different things like that, so there is some potential. I'd be reluctant to plan a lot of potential because of all the, kind of the restrictions, kind of unrelated specifically to architecture, which is the site.
And then when you said there were odd corners, like, are you able to like further describe what that means? Like, is that gonna like inhibit, educational space? Like, what does that mean, odd corner? Like within the classroom, or like what is that?
Great question. I was thinking in the mass of the building, it kind of has a sawtooth. Like this is kind of a sawtooth at the end of the building to fit a rectangular building on a rotated site, or rotated building on a rectangular site. So when I said kind of odd corners, I meant this sawtooth kind of like that. But the rooms themselves are just rectangular.
So within this footprint, if we wanted to add like a therapy room, it would be possible. I don't know.
To
Okay,
expand, yeah.
Because you just said like maybe it didn't account for maybe like therapy or service space, but we could potentially, if we needed to, talk about that. Okay. Got it.
And there's even in this, there's some potential to add a little bit, small amounts onto this side.
Mhm.
If there's a room or two that's on the music art kind of
Gotcha.
building. Not a lot, but,
Okay.
small spaces, classroom or two or something like that is possible over here.
Okay.
So it's an open-ended design, but it's
Okay.
more, how much do you can fit
Gotcha.
in total on that site is the question.
Got it. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just, so that building, that would plan would eliminate the parking in back, correct? Entirely or no?
Oh, it's the playground area, so that would have to be enhanced
I think
somewhere.
they would have where they do
Okay.
hula hoops, like it's like, I mean, it would be difficult, I feel like. I mean, a car could basically like, you turn in, kind of how we do the pivot round in the back. I mean, it would make
Mhm.
that a little bit smaller, but I think you could still accommodate that like loop around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's somewhat, it makes it tighter.
Yeah.
So again, it gets at that idea of everything being a little tighter on this site.
So given, Sean's question and the ability to build, when you're looking at face value to the left more, is there a reason why we wouldn't kind of shift like if we were just gonna stick with the 8 classrooms, why we wouldn't shift more into the grass area to kind of keep some of that kind of concrete parking space?
Again, it's a great question. The site literally is lower here, so there's probably like a 5-foot difference
Okay.
in where the ground floor would be. So
Tension.
the more we're building in there, kind of the more on a hill in a way, we'd have to we have to raise the ground to meet it, because we won't have basements and things.
Right.
But also we'd have to replace the stormwater in here probably in some inexpensive way. It'd have to be underground and things like that. So this is kind of a normal way, or I mean the straightforward way. The more it shifts over here, the more expensive it gets.
So that being said, would you consider, like if we wanted to expand that footprint beyond the 8 classrooms presented, would you suggest going towards the grass, or would you come more into the park? Like, I don't want to, you know what I mean, like under those 2 classrooms,
Would
maybe
you
a
go,
laser
if
pointer.
we wanted to go 10 classrooms, would
Right,
you go
would you
this
go
way?
that way? Would you go
Yeah.
down and create a small hall, you know what I mean, like?
Well, if you did want, because the site limitations, if you wanted to go twice as many classrooms as this, say, I'd plan for that second classroom or second floor,
Okay.
so that we wouldn't, I mean, you just kind of bite the bullet.
Yeah.
If that's the way you wanted to go, just because it takes up less amount of site.
Yeah.
With the knowledge that basically a grade level is on the second floor on a wing by itself.
Right.
It would be kind of isolated second floor,
Yeah.
not connected to the rest.
And then, why couldn't we have like a basement? Like if we want an area for storage, you know, to store different things, like why couldn't we build a basement or dig a basement?
You can, but it doesn't come, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
So it basically
It's
can only.
building on grade versus
it can-
going, yeah.
It can only be used for storage,
Yeah.
and if the district has need for that, that might be useful. Especially in elementary school, students aren't supposed to be below ground or below grade.
No, I would not put a classroom
No.
or gym below.
But in a public building, well, in a house, a basement is very inexpensive, because
Yeah.
you have to dig down 4 feet anyway. In a public building, as soon as it's space, it still has to be conditioned, it has to have fire alarm, it has to have, lighting, it has to have all kind of that expensive stuff. It just doesn't have the finishes.
Right.
So, let's say if a classroom is $700 a square foot or $800, not including site, it would be, probably 2/3 of that for basement storage. So, again, sometimes it's really worth it, especially if you need that, but it's a trade-off, and it's always available to you. Frankly, any addition is kind of available to you, but it's a lot less expensive to maybe put it on grade, just deal with storage in some other way.
Yeah.
So so is it fair to say that, 1, if we wanted a second story, you would do it in the original build, and 2, you would recommend us, if we were looking to do additional classrooms with this particular approach, you would build up versus going over into the detention area?
If it's kind of onesie-twosie kind of classroom,
Right.
making it bigger on the ground floor makes sense. If you want,
Try to double.
if you want a significant number of classrooms,
Okay.
double the numbers of classrooms or towards that, it's almost, it's the smartest thing kind of to plan for that second floor.
Okay.
Make the most of use of the site, in my opinion, but each one of these are options. And, we've explored a few of them probably in sketch form anyway.
So, that's the elementary school. At the middle school, we had talked about doing some new classrooms and renovation that would allow for an early childhood program, an expansion of our early childhood program. So early childhood would move over to the middle school. You would have some new classrooms here. This portion here is existing and would get renovated. We would have a drop-off, so we would kind of carve in next to 74th to have a drop-off where our preschoolers would have their own entrance kind of right here, you'd have an administrative office here, you can kind of block off the wall here so that our preschoolers kind of are not necessarily kind of mingling with our middle schoolers. A little play area here. And with that introduction, I am going to turn it over to Mike to maybe talk through it a little bit more and answer any questions you might have about this portion of the project.
Can I ask one quick question? Is
Yeah.
there enough room currently to accommodate a drop-off like that?
That's my question.
Is there currently enough room to accommodate?
It's to scale. So
Okay.
that- yeah,
I can't picture it, so, okay.
So it's also possible not to have kind of the berm area in between.
Oh, I see, okay.
Years and years ago, even before I started here, there was a drop off on this side. Kind of,
Oh, no way.
It was a widening road. It wasn't that long. It wasn't not very big. So this pulls it off significantly off. In this case, totally off of 74.
Mhm.
But it's also possible, depending on how much space you wanted to simply have a significant pull over, and that way you don't need that bypass.
Yeah.
So in this one, you kind of needs to be double wide so a bus can bypass the other one, or
Got it.
if something stopped.
This might be a horrible architectural question. Is there a way to tie that into the front entrance,
Existing.
like the existing? Because I feel like that's just like a huge, that could help alleviate some of that traffic on 74 just for our regular
Right.
pattern
Yeah.
I
traffic.
mean, this is awesome for just us.
Can we just do it down the whole length of the school?
Right.
Oh, well,
Anything we can do.
the site's unusual for Illinois in that there's a lot of grade change.
Oh, okay.
So even here, going from the gym to here is our 12, 15 steps up
Yeah.
from this lobby up to this level. So the site drops quite a bit on this side, and this corner of the site is maybe 7 feet taller than here. It's not quite as dramatic on this side, but there's a significant amount here. So if you were to build a building on that side, you'd have to deal and connect it through. You'd have to deal with the different grade level changes in some way.
Is it possible?
Oh, sure.
Money here.
It's not, it would, there are level changes. The building is kind of
Yeah.
stacked up a hill. Actually, where we are right now is where the original school was, and it kept getting added to,
Yeah.
kind of up the hill.
Mhm.
When this wing was put on, the wing that we're standing in was mostly torn down, the worst part of the building. So this used to be a kind of a complex that kind of grew up the hill
Gotcha.
in the way that you're kind of suggesting. So,
Gotcha. Sorry. I
so
keep
the
asking
so
questions.
in this case, the early childhood classrooms, we're purposely making it disconnected from the rest of the school. We're kind of making it private. The addition is from here over, and this is the existing building kind of in that area. So there are 2 classrooms at the end. So if you went all the way at the end of the 5th grade wing, it tees into you can rent a wall and you can go left or right.
Mhm.
That's this hallway. So we're cutting off the T, and for exiting reasons, we're allowing the 5th grade to exit that way. So we're making the 2 buildings, although touching, they function separately. I mean, there'll be a door and things between, but locked so that the middle school and the early childhood students don't overlap. Even as an entrance and an administration area through here. But this one, we're even noting, and we can continue to expand either way. Even depending on how far out it is, we can put classrooms on both sides of this corridor. It gets a little the farther north you go, the more challenging it is to kind of dig into the hill to kind of make it so it doesn't feel like it's under where it's below ground. And this way, in a similar vein to some degree, probably a classroom before the site kind of drops down. But again, similar to the elementary, we're making it open-ended, so it's flexible, it's not, you're not kind of locked in.
What's the yellow, I'm sorry, like
Oh.
underneath the red, okay.
Small classroom.
Small
So-
classroom, but
so
that's
we're-
maybe.
So we're cutting a, this,
Yes.
this is a full-size classroom
Mhm.
that we have to have a corridor going through.
Gotcha, okay,
So it'd be resource room
okay.
or some sort of,
I'm sorry, and then could you, oh, do you wanna go?
It's kind of more of a Dave question, I guess.
Oh.
So we're saying 4 classrooms in this particular wing that's gonna be locked up. Where are we servicing students then for preschool? Like, we're taking them out for speech or things like that?
So
Are they
we
staying?
would look at, the 4 classrooms would be kind of the regular classrooms. This
Okay.
could be used for therapy, for speech, for,
But that's outside the locked door?
no, this is still part, right? This is still part of.
oh, it's, this space could be on that side, and then we'd have the corridor.
Yeah,
We just flip that classroom,
yeah.
so.
So we can have an additional classroom. There's also, you know, if we needed to create some, well, let me show that.
Yeah,
This-
what's all that stuff?
purple, yeah.
This is administrative office. This is air handler room, so like, right,
Mhm.
and then what is this? Mike?
It's a storage room, but it's
area.
a potential office or something.
Could that potentially be our service space
Could be.
for like kiddos?
It could be.
Like a therapy room?
I would want it to start out that, like, I don't like
Yeah, changing
transitioning,
it, right.
you know, storage rooms to therapy spaces. We've done that
Totally.
quite a bit. So yes, I think that could be a space for that, for sure.
And then the little blue, those are
Toilet.
bathrooms in each.
Yeah,
area.
those are toilet rooms.
And so we wouldn't have like a faculty bathroom in this particular wing?
It's this one, in the administration
Oh, it is,
office.
there is oh, okay, sorry, I missed that blue. It's very more blue over here than here.
No.
So in this.
color-
Yeah,
model-
definitely.
Yeah, it's like better
Yeah,
over there, yeah.
You might need a bowl.
Okay.
Either
In
way.
this model then, where is like art and music and PE and.
So all those are
gym?
done in the classroom with the teacher. We've always done, preschool has always gotten their specials from the teacher in the classroom.
What about PE?
They run their own PE, they don't run their own program through recess, going outside, playing games in the classroom.
Cause they're only there for like 2 hours, right? It's not.
They're there for,
Entertain.
right now it's AM.
Right.
Either AM or PM. You know, full day, we would have to talk about, you know, what that would look like for them.
Right.
They've always, as long as I've been here, even when we did off a full day, I believe that they ran their own programming for art, music, all of that. They were kind of with their teacher that full time.
Would it ever be something to consider or just throw on the table to think about, like adding an APR room, so it could be a multifaceted
Could be.
space?
I mean, we can add, like Mike said, we can continue to add here, and we can
Yeah,
add
I don't know.
APR or some sort of small gym area there.
Like meet,
Sure. I mean, again, these are just, you know, like, nothing's set in stone, we're just throwing ideas out.
In terms of cost, without putting a number on it,
We're
but,
gonna put a number on it.
well, right, but how does it relate to our ability to do a project without going to referendum?
That's the next slide.
before we go to the next slide, can I ask a question? So for this to work, we would be moving Fifth back to the middle, I
Correct.
mean elementary.
Correct,
Okay, so then the gray would be 6th, 7th, 8th.
correct.
Got it, okay. That makes sense.
So this has occupied three regular classrooms on that way. Classroom here, and classroom here.
Okay.
Those now are no longer middle school classrooms,
So
or
mi-
fifth grade classrooms, I should say.
So right now we have 4 fifth grade classrooms, so potentially 6th grade or middle school could absorb an additional open classroom. Like it would give them more space.
They'd have a classroom, maybe two
Okay,
of addition, but you also have to remember, we're predicting higher enrollment and things like that.
Right.
It doesn't, could those classrooms possibly be used for new types of programming? We had talked about whether that's the home economics or
Right.
industrial
right,
tech or
right.
something like that, possibly, but I wouldn't want to do it at the risk of, you know, population increasing and then having to find a place for more kids, right, for those kids to go. So we'd really have to think that through.
I was just, curious, like.
But yes,
So it
there,
is 4, but it would, okay.
it would really be a net increase of maybe one or two. Does that make sense?
Yes, and with this design, would we revamp the current 2 rooms at the end, or would we like tear down and rebuild, or? would
These
we-
two gray guys right here, you mean,
Like,
these
you
two
know
right
how we
here?
were saying, like, how currently at the end it tees off?
I think it's the ones on the north. the existing ones on the north.
We'll just convert them. We don't have to like tear down and rebuild,
This-
right?
The
This
yellow
one-
Oh, right.
The
Right.
yellow one.
So those are
Okay.
pretty much
Probably
gutted. It's
Okay.
I mean, it's, the way you outfit early childhood or kindergarten classrooms has a very different kind of environment.
Okay.
Different sort of storage, different sort of cabinetry, everything is essentially a lot
What else?
lower.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would, although it the walls would be there,
Okay.
everything kind of inside would be there.
Got it. So we could still use the physical structure, we
Uh-huh.
would just, okay, I thought we would have to like tear that all
No,
down.
and then build new, no,
Yeah,
no,
I-
we can
okay, I
renovate
got
those.
confused. Okay, thank you, that's helpful.
Okay, I'm sorry to like
Yeah.
ask kind of a similar question, but, so right now, our preschool students don't go to the library, music room, art room, PE at all?
They're not scheduled in those courses.
I tried.
Sorry.
I tried to.
I'm gonna put my sunglasses on.
Sorry about
Serious.
that. Sorry, Becky.
No, it's okay.
They're not scheduled into those classes right now. Does that mean that a preschooler never goes into the gym or never uses those spaces? No, that's not, like, I'm not gonna tell you that. There are times where they may go in there and play games or things like that, but it's not a scheduled course that the kids have.
Yeah.
Any other questions on this one? Okay. So again, project details, right, some things to think about, and again, these are all still very rough, these numbers, and what we're gonna share with you, but we're looking at a cost of, in the neighborhood of 16 million.
Is this for both or just one of the projects?
Both.
I'm
The
sorry,
whole project
did you
would be
say that
16
and I
million.
missed it? Okay.
Mhm.
So
The whole
sorry.
project, both the
Okay.
elementary and the middle school.
This is the cost for both, thank you.
This is the cost for both.
Thank
Mhm.
you.
And then the playground this 16 million does not include the playground at the middle school, the preschool playground, which would be anywhere from $200,000 to $300,000 for that playground area. You gotta have special equipment, soft ground, things like that. Oh, actually, I took your thunder.
No,
These bullets, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
It's cool. No,
Go ahead.
so we're, yeah, those are some, the cost per square foot for the playgrounds is something we're using at all the changes we're doing in District 1 and 2 in LaGrange. So we're doing a lot of additions, and we're doing all the playgrounds in the whole district for there. So a timeline.
Hey, can I just ask a question about that?
Please, yes.
Playground at 200,000 to 300,000, we just had a quote that was like 1.5 million at the middle school.
There was a lot of grading work. That was a very different.
Like a lot of concrete.
A lot of concrete, a lot of grading. It was taking the parking lot and changing. Yeah, that is kind of a different animal.
So this is like a synthetic turf. I mean, it's not synthetic turf, it's synthetic surface, rubberized surface, playground. So rubberized surface with all new play equipment.
Yeah.
Approximately
Good idea.
2,500 square feet of play surface. So in terms of timeline, so if once we're given the go-ahead to design a building, if that's however funding or whatever would need to go, but from the time that we give a go-ahead, it'd be about 9 months from that go-ahead to bids, to opening up bids. And then it depends on the time of year, but basically about a year to construct. In rough terms, depending on when you start, it's a year and a half to 2 years of between beginning to end of construction. So if the reason I'm saying that time of year matters is if things are ready to be bid in December, you can't excavate in the middle of winter. You can't pour concrete and pave and certain things. So the ideal time to start a project is in the spring, and then it's already under cover by the time winter comes around and you kind of finish the inside. So potentially the timeline can be compressed, or it shouldn't basically be longer than a year, but it's around that amount. The front end is also depends on how much, if you want community involvement or things like that would stretch out the amount of time at the beginning.
Speaking of timelines and staging and that kind of thing, what kind of disruptions would you anticipate to daily life at both schools during a construction project of this kind?
So ideally, the elementary would be completed first so that you could move the fifth graders to the elementary.
Right, but as you're building
So-
elementary, do you lose the ability to traffic flow in that back area, like in terms of where, you
Yes.
know, how are trucks in and out, ingress, egress, that kind of
Oh,
thing?
yeah. So it's, construction of building the size, it's not just the footprint of the building,
Right.
it's kind of the areas outside, you've got the trucks and the concrete trucks and things coming in. So you can schedule them to come in certain times of the day, so you can control that to some degree. The elementary is more challenging than the middle school because the site is on the backside, so you literally have to kind of drive through, so you wouldn't want any deliveries done at pickup drop-off time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely a
Staging
challenge
is
to
more-
that site.
yeah, it's trouble.
And your playground would certainly be completely consumed, that drop, or the turnaround playground.
And dusty and dirty
Would be
and all those kind of
completely
things.
consumed by construction that year. So playground, play areas would have to be maybe in the park or something.
Yeah.
Some other, or indoors or something like that during that construction year. This site, it's easy, because you're
kinda wild,
you're
but-
completely on 74th, it's where the construction is farthest away from where any students are or where any drop-offs are.
Right.
So that's easy, but you can't take those spaces from the fifth graders until
Until you
there's
have somewhere
someplace for them to go.
yeah.
Sorry, there's something, a logistics
Yeah.
component we didn't really talk about.
Yeah, no, but it's a fact, right? You've got to kind of have somewhere for the fifth graders to go, or figure out schedule-wise how to double them up at the middle school somehow, which is making my brain hurt.
Yeah, it's temporary, but
Yeah.
the point is it will be disruptive.
So if that last summer, if you're ending construction of summer, then you can double up. You can kind of finish your renovation while you're finishing the other school, because there's no students present for those 10 weeks or something.
Right,
But
but
at the
trying to
end-
thread that needle is not very
If you
easy.
have all the products and you've run all the infrastructure to get it go, it's done all the time.
Okay.
If it's done at the last minute, if you're prepared and have a lot of planning time ahead of time, it's not a problem.
Okay.
But again, it depends on what time
Yeah.
what the actual dimensional
When they
schedule
go
is.
to, yeah.
Yeah, but the elementary is logistically much more difficult than this.
Okay.
With respect to cost, you have a breakout, just high level of PES versus PMS? Like, so if like perhaps the board's like, you know, we don't want to do the preschool, we're not gonna, you know, we just want to focus on moving the fifth graders over, what does that price look like?
It's about 1/3, 2/3. It's just by square footage. So the elementary, we're building twice as much square footage. You're building and renovating about twice as much as at the or at the middle school. So there's twice as much construction at the one site than the other. So if you divided the 16 by 3, the middle school's about 1/3.
Did you work on the project at the Highlands? They just added that big addition.
No,
right
it's
there.
they just-
But that would be interesting to like hear their perspective on what the disruption was since they
Yeah.
just added that big addition, the side of the school.
Yeah, I think they
you
were
know?
lucky in that,
In Salt Lake.
the
Yeah.
west end where it was kind of away from like the parking lot drop off and stuff, but it
Well,
still would
their
be.
parking lot is like cut in half
No,
now because
it's
of it, yeah.
worth, yeah, no, it's worth the conversation.
For sure.
Yeah.
As far as referendum goes, and like, let's just say for the sake of argument, we decide to go forward with both projects at 16 million, we go to referendum. When we do that, are we asking for the 16 million? Does it like?
I think that's a conversation that we need to have. I mean, we're not gonna be able to cover the cost of this out of the reserves and out of budget and using, bond, the bond capacity that we have. It's just gonna overextend us. The project that we had considered at the Village Hall, I mean, that really pushed us to the edge. I know Griffin and I really had some conversations about like, this is probably the absolute max we would be able to go, and even that, we could make it work, but it was close. So I mean, there would definitely be, we would, in my opinion, we would need to go to the voters and ask them to support this.
Right, but so whatever we decide on, let's say call Plan X at cost Y, but are we trying, not trying, is the intention of the district to try to raise that money specifically from the community? Or
That
is
would
it
be
that
my
we get to contribute
recommendation. That would be my recommendation.
Fund balance as well, or, okay,
I mean, it depends on what other expenditures we have, it depends, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of variables
Sure.
that we would need to figure out. We're talking about very large, very rough numbers right now. If this is a direction, or whatever direction that the board wanted to go, I think as we got into it, those are additional conversations that we would need to have. I would envision there would need to be some sort of campaign in order to make this happen. What that level is, I'm just not sure, we just haven't gotten to that level of detail yet.
Now, I'll cover the first of the details to consider, and that is, if any of you have ever lived in or had a house a smaller house that you've added to many times, it has this kind of a unique challenge in trying to keep it all feeling like it's kind of the right size. At the elementary school, for instance, when I said a second floor can be done, but kind of the nature of it, it's now separate, which could be good, could be bad. So the caution is that although in any one of these schemes, we always try to have an open-ended design, so you can always add things. But the challenge is to keep it from kind of being that bungalow where you've added too many things to it, too much extra rooms to it. So we said too many additions. We couldn't come down with a better phrase than that, but that's kind of at both buildings kind of the challenge because they've been added to a lot so far.
And on that note, we can't build a third floor at the elementary school, is that right?
It's really unusual to have an elementary with that many floors. You see it in inner cities. Middle schools, we do it all the time. It actually worked well for 6,
Like
7,
if the
8.
fifth graders were.
6, 7, 8. That works well. I did Clarendon Hills Middle School a long time ago at 3 stories. And you might remember that.
I do remember that.
That was this-
Currently doing a replacement school in Mount Prospect. It goes to bid next week, but again, 3 stories. Elementary, because the age of the kids and the physical size of them, going up 3 stories is, it's done, but it's unusual. I'd be more apt to recommend the middle school.
from an engineering standpoint, though, it can be done,
Oh, absolutely.
okay, and cost effectively, cost prohibitively?
Not the existing one. To add another floor onto the
Yes,
existing
right,
school?
that's what
Right,
you're
yeah,
referring
Oh,
to.
I'm sorry, I thought you meant like the
Yes,
new
yeah.
addition to 3 stories.
No, yeah.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
it's, there was a school in Skokie, many years ago where they added it's a big, long building, and they built a second floor, and basically you have to kind of build around, it had columns on the outside, it's expensive, difficult, but mostly you can't occupy the building while you're doing it, because you can't have cranes
Sure,
and
that
concrete
makes sense.
pouring and stuff
Right.
over top of where kids
Yeah,
are.
that would.
Unless
That'd
it's
be fine if
designed,
you do with my kids there.
unless it's designed that way. We do occasionally do additions that are designed for a second floor to go on top of it, so the structure's already there. But that has to be planned that way. So, sorry, I didn't understand.
No, that's, thanks for clarifying.
So, just some other things to think about, again, some sort of level of referendum would be necessary to cover the cost of this project. Overall enrollment at the elementary school is also something to think about. We want to be careful not to continue to pack that space, and you're talking about traffic issues, you're talking about just lots of kids, right? And trying to be able to keep that number reasonable, especially if we believe the enrollment is going to continue to increase. And then traffic, I know it seems silly, but, we have neighbors on School Street that, I'm sure don't want cars queuing up. We have, again, I don't predict that the traffic at the middle school would be worse, but I also can't tell you that it wouldn't be worse because of the drop-off for preschool. Obviously, we would try and stagger those with times and things like that, but again, under promise, over deliver type of thing. Like, let's just assume that maybe there possibly could be some traffic issues there. And if there aren't, we'll pleasantly surprised. So, just some things to think about as we kind of consider how to move forward. So as far as next steps, I owe you a presentation on, potentially a presentation on what a new building would look like and how that could impact the community, how that could impact the budget, and all of those things. We need to discuss pros and cons of these different plans, start to kind of hone in if that's the direction that the board wants to go, and then determine the course of action moving forward. Is it expanding on the footprint? Is it building new? Or is it hitting the pause button or doing something different, accommodation? I think Becky had mentioned, or maybe Taryn had mentioned doing one thing at one place and not doing something somewhere else. I mean, whatever the kind of thought process is there. So, and with that,
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Going back one slide to like steps moving forward, looking at kind of our like to-do list in terms of, is there any remaining outlier to-dos that we can accomplish outside of a new build or an addition? Like, don't we just like at our priority list, was there anything, or have we already checked all the boxes for like, I know we talked about safety and other things.
Yeah, I mean,
Let me rephrase. Is there any way we could? Are there any remaining priorities
I
we
see
could
what you're saying.
accomplish without a new build or?
Correct.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. So, one of the things that would be difficult. Oh, whoops! These are my extra slides. One of the things that would be difficult here is the second exit. To be honest with you, because
You don't know where to
we
put
run
it?
into the same problem. We have the same problem. It's not our property. I mean,
Right.
of course, we can try and work with the park district and say, we're doing this project and we'd like to add this second exit, but there's, again, in any of the schemes that we come up with, whether it's this build or a new build, we would need cooperation
Got it.
with the park district. So it doesn't necessarily solve that problem.
Okay.
It doesn't perfectly allow for additional programming at the other schools either. So like if we wanted to do we had, again, home ec or industrial tech, we don't necessarily, that isn't part of the scope of this either. But again, those are all conversations that we can have. If that's something we want to try and move forward, maybe we ask for 20 million, you know what I mean, or something like that, to repurpose some spaces and figure out how to get that to happen. Good question though. Good question. I want to get credit for my quote. Griffin's not the only one that can find good quotes. So, anywho, all right, cool. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Mike.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, should I save the question?
No, you're good.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so fun.
All right, so last item under reports and discussion items is our review of policies. So again, just to ensure that our district policies reflect the realities of running the district, we review policy pretty much every month and make changes and reviews and updates and things like that. So this month, we're looking at policies in section 5. All of the changes that are outlined in the board packet are changes that came directly from our press policy service. And Mr. Zona did find one typo for me, so I will make sure that that gets fixed.
Good job.
And the final approval of those next month. Any questions about any of that? Cool.
We'll move on to item 6, items for next agenda. So we have facilities update, annual curriculum cycle review, budget hearing, adopt annual budget, staff introductions, approve personnel board policies, review curriculum board policies, declassify closed session minutes, and then class size update. All good? Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Item 7, open forum. Do we have anyone here? So we'll move on to item 9, closed session. So we're gonna move into closed session for the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in an educational setting, or specific volunteers of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee, a specific individual who serves as an independent contractor in an educational setting, or a volunteer of the public body, or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. And then also the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired.
Oh, so moved.
Mr. Bracco?
Yes.
Mrs. Munson? Yes. Mr. Nash?
Yes.
Mrs. Walters?
Yes.
Mr. Zona?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mrs. Marshall?
Yes.
So we'll close at 7:15.
Perfect.
We're
All right.
7:15, right?
That's what I have, yeah, thank you.